Physics has to do with Newton and the acceleration of gravity, which explains why the planets orbit the sun and why objects fall toward the earth. Theoretical physics, hatched by the likes of Einstein and his co-conspirators, it's not quasi-religious. It is religious. It is religion. It is a faith. You're asked to believe. You're asked to believe that gravity is created by a warp in the space-time continuum without a shred of evidence of any space-time continuum. If you think about it, space and time are imaginary units of measurement used to define speed. Your car going down the highway can be clocked at 65 miles per hour. That's space-time. It has to do with speed. Space-time doesn't exist apart from your mental concept of hours and miles, or kilometers and seconds. Seconds, hours, days, years have to do with the rotation of the earth and the sunlight shining alternately on different parts of the earth. If we lived on a different planet that revolved at a different speed has to do with movement per unit time. The movement is measured in humanly devised units. It's all in the mind. Space-time doesn't exist. All right, but let's picture space-time as a two-dimensional fabric. Let's go way out into the universe, away from any influence of the sun's gravity. And let's stretch out this fabric. To keep it taut, let's stretch it over a large ring so that we have a circular two-dimensional fabric stretched out. What would cause it to bend? And if it bent, why would anything fall toward this depression in the middle of your fabric? And why would anything then be drawn toward that falling object? And where would it be falling to? What would cause anything to fall in the absence of gravity? You see, this is all mumbo jumbo. This is all religion. And they put this in such lofty, incomprehensible terms that you're left thinking that, well, this is beyond my ability to grasp. Theological things are really beyond your ability to grasp. If you delve into it deeply, you realize you're going down a rabbit hole from which you will never get out until you give up and turn around and come out. I propose that theoretical physics, for example, building a satellite, putting it into orbit to detect gamma rays so that you can solve the question, is the space-time continuum smooth or lumpy? That's nothing but a waste of time and a waste of taxpayer money. Many people don't know Einstein's connections to the communist movement in the 1920s and 30s. They don't know that he was a courier, an agent for Stalin. Stalin, one of the most horrific mass murderers and oppressors ever. Einstein, in my eyes, is discredited. Theoretical physics has no use. The quantum wave function, which says that all physical qualities exist simultaneously at the same time, and it is only when that quality is measured that the quantum wave function collapses, illustrated by Schrodinger's cat, an imaginary cat in an imaginary box who is alive and dead at the same time. But when a scientist or an examiner or an inquisitor opens the box to look in at the cat, at that moment the quantum wave function collapses into one state, being whatever you see when you look in the box. But the box is imaginary. And the quantum wave function is a imaginary model portraying something that can't be determined. It's a way of dealing with uncertainty. In fact, the cat never exists in both states at once. It's either one or the other, always. But when questioned, Einstein said this was literally true. An electron that could be in several different places was in all these different places until it was measured, and then it became fixed in one location only. And the act of measuring or observing is what caused the reality. Einstein was full of BS. He was a con artist. He was a perpetual liar. And if you delve into his personal life, you see that he was a disgusting human being whose loyalties were to Stalin and Mao. When he was supposedly espousing physics, when he came to the United States, he was actually instigating anti-war protest, so-called pacifism. The logical outcome of Einstein's idea is insanity and death and imprisonment. I despise the man. You worship the man. I'm perplexed. It must be that you have never examined the man.